immediately cut off and access removed. Board members, please mute yourselves when you are not speaking. Board members, I will call on you one at a time to speak to avoid everyone speaking at once. If you wish to speak at any time when I am not calling on you, you may also use the raised hand function or literally raise your hand. I can see you and we will call on you. We will use roll call voting for the purposes of all board members, and this is to ensure that the record is clear. Thank you to everyone for their patience as we all negotiate this new way of doing things. So let us start. We will call the roll call for everyone that is here. Please indicate that you are present. Marlene Cheatham, Chair, present. George Bailing, Antonio Martinez, Kevin Griffith, Kevin, say present.
You're muted, so just make sure that when you talk, that you unmute yourself.
Oh, wait, I didn't hear him. Kevin, yeah. Okay, close enough. Bob DeRio?
Present.
Okay, we have to work on Kevin's.
Yeah, Kevin, can you speak real fast?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay.
Now
Yes.
we can.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
All right, and can we also do
we
the staff?
Yes. Let us also acknowledge the staff that is present. Joseph Agustinelli. Ooh, I think I said it right.
Present.
I know I messed that up. Sorry, Joe.
That's okay, no problem.
Jaime Martinez.
Present.
Jamie Kane.
Present.
And with us from our land use attorney office is Amanda Brossley.
Here.
Okay, so let us start the first thing on the agenda. Yeah, application. I couldn't think of what it says. The first application up for tonight is ZBA number 2519, which is 31 Ferris Place. I know that there are a number of people that are on for this application.
Yeah, we're gonna add a bunch of people. So I have John Power. I have John. And I have Sissy Lee.
Sissy Lee, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. If yeah, please. I'm gonna ask John to start his video. If possible.
Okay. So I'm on the phone as all. Okay. So there we are. So I should hang up here.
If are you on a computer with a video camera and a microphone?
Well, I've had the sound. Well, I have the sound on my computer off, and not sure I'm not sure if I'm speaking through the phone right now or am I speaking through my webcam.
You're speaking through the phone right now.
You're speaking through the phone, okay. Yes.
So should we just leave it like that?
That's fine.
I don't want to be echo again. I may not have sound on my webcam, but I can see my picture there. That's
yeah, I guess we can just leave it as it is and hope for the best transcript.
Good to go.
On the phone, right?
Is there anyone else that needs to get on here from your team?
I don't think so.
No.
Okay, so let us move forward. You can start, Mr. Power.
Okay, well, this project came about by the paving of a four parking spaces in the rear of this property, and it was found to exceed the impervious area. So we're back again to propose that, well, going back at the initial hearing, the neighbor was concerned about the overflow of the water during a downpour to entering the property to the south. So we have a new proposal to leave the impervious area as is, but create a curb that keeps that water on the site and then directs it towards somewhat of a dry well installation.
Okay. So,
I'm
You're
sorry.
muted.
If you want me to move the slide forward or backwards, you gotta let me know.
okay. So so I know this application has been before us before. Joe, can you kind of outline what are if there are any major changes that we're talking about? And I know that there were some issues within the dwelling that had come up before.
Right. One of the issues I believe the neighborhood was concerned about the overflow of the stormwater, but it seems like with this change in the plan that they're addressing that by putting in a dry well and putting in that curbing. The other issue was they had said that they believed there was additional dwelling units in the house. There was one in the basement, but that's been it's been removed. There's no longer a dwelling unit down the basement, so that's been rectified. So right now the home is back to what it was originally approved for, was a two-family house.
Okay.
So just an FYI, because they've addressed the illegal basement apartment, the board could move forward on this application tonight. There's no more violation issue that you need to worry about.
Okay. So can I get I guess we can move forward with opening, getting a motion to open the public hearing on this application?
So moved. Bob Duraya says.
Okay, please, right, I was gonna say, please state your name when doing a motion. May I get a second?
Kevin Griffith, seconding.
Okay, so that means all those in favor, we need a roll call vote?
Sure, I'll do that. Marlene?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
And then Antonio and George are absent, so the motion passes 3-0.
Okay. Is there anyone else online to speak to this application? Is there anyone on the board that would like to speak to this application? All right, I guess if there's no discussion, are we in favor of going forward with this at this time?
I just wanted to, Marlene, just if you want to close the public hearing then.
Wait, no. There are people that have raised their hands that.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's what I'm asking. Okay.
I think they're on 35. This is 31.
Right, there are people on 31.
They have a raised hand. We have to at least allow them the opportunity to.
Sure.
So, Mr. Codman, you're now. Hello?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Codman, you raised your hand?
Yes, I did.
Are you here for 31 or 35 Ferris Place?
Well, I'd like to speak about that too. I didn't get the notice for this particular public hearing. So I wanted to be able to speak to it because one of the neighbors had brought this to my attention. And
you need to state your name first though. Make sure.
Oh, sure. My name is John Codman. I live at 37 Ferris Place. So one of the neighbors had spoken to me about this and had expressed some concern because I believe that the asphalting had been done without a proper permit. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. That's what brought them here to the zoning board. They received a violation for installing the driveway without a permit.
Right.
Okay. And you know, I guess my concern is the you know, the way the topography is on the properties is you know, it slopes down, and I know there is concern by one of the neighbors that some of the runoff would go onto his property. And I guess I would want to get some assurances from the building department that the curb that's being put in and the drainage system that's being put in is going to be properly tested, so that that adverse effect would not affect my neighbor. And you know, going forward, I would just want some assurances that that would be looked after. That once the installation has taken place, that, you know, once there's a significant rain, that we understand that the remediation that's being taken place, that's being proposed and installed, is going to actually work.
What I suggest that we can do is that they're proposing to put in a Cultec drywall. I would ask the architect that if he can have an engineer do some stormwater calculations, one, to make sure that the drywall that's going in is the proper size, and to basically verify that the proposed work that's going to be done on the property is sufficient to carry the stormwater based on his calculations.
In my initial oh, am I here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Be sure to state your name for the record. Again, you're gonna have to do it every time you start speaking.
Right.
John Power, the architect for 31 Ferris Place. The preliminary calculations based on a 2-inch rain event, and it roughly estimated a 3-unit Cultec prefab unit, drywall unit.
Okay, so you can provide calculations to how you feel about that, correct?
Yes.
And it estimates, you know, the square footage of the impervious surface not only includes the new surface, but the existing surface that goes up toward the, you know, toward the front of the house, actually.
Okay.
What does that mean towards the up front of the house?
Well, it basically, these Cultec drywall units will collect the rainwater for the entire driveway that runs down toward the rear of the property.
Okay. Well, the way the property slopes, I mean, you know, that area that's next to the asphalted area is, you know, it slopes towards the property border, as opposed to, I mean, I just would want to make sure that the water is going to go where it's supposed to go, because that's not the topography of the property.
This is John Power again. Can we look at the photographs? So basically, the driveway, as you look in the parking expansion picture, the middle one at that point, it's pretty level, even though there is no curb to the left where all those plantings are. And the proposal is to have a curb there, and also a curb to the rear, just to the left of that black vehicle. And then yes, that's correct. And then direct it toward the middle of the property. And then the dry wells will be located pretty much right. Yeah, that's where the curb is. The green line will be the curb. And then direct it toward, in the third picture there, the rear yard. Direct it there just to the right of the, there is somewhat of an edging to the asphalt there. So it won't be in the middle of the yard, but it'll be toward, you know, before the shed, just to the left of what looks like a barbecue.
All right, just to be clear on the picture, if I could, are you talking about right here? Or are you talking about?
See that one shrub there, just to the left of the shed?
The one back.
So right here?
Yeah, well, in front, it would be in front of that shrub, roughly.
Right here,
Yes.
following this path.
Well, you're drawing a green line. What does the green line represent?
What you just described, I'm just trying to make it clear. You can actually do this yourself if you wanted to. You can use the annotate feature.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I guess my concern is the grade of the driveway of the area that's been done over there. I mean, that's great that you're going to put up that barrier, but you need to raise a little bit of the asphalt to make sure that the water is going to flow in the proper direction towards the middle of the property.
Well, the curb is preventing.
Well, yeah, but you could put the curb there and the water could collect and then it could go over it.
Please don't direct your questions back and forth.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I guess my concern here is that the driveway is not properly graded to get the benefit of the drain. And I would want to make sure that the water is going to actually flow towards the drainage that's being designed.
Okay. I guess I'm asking Joe, as we go forward, if we allow them to go forward with this project, will we be able to, or with the architect, will be able to provide us with, or provide you with the necessary paperwork to make sure, one, the dry well works, and two, it's adequate, and three, the water drainage will be going in the right direction?
Well, let me ask a question to the architect. John, is it possible that your clients can have a surveyor give us a survey of the elevation showing that the driveway is actually pitched away from the neighbor's property and pitching towards the center of the yard, towards the proposed drywall?
I suppose so. The earlier suggestion to have avoided the installation of this curb was to tear up the additional pervious surface that was done, and to provide a pervious section for what was increased. I mean, this driveway, if we can go back to the plan.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take away the area of new asphalt, and that driveway existed, I believe, without that additional area, then we wouldn't have an issue here.
Right.
Well, I would tell you this: if you remove the area where they added with the parking area, the
Yes.
rest of the driveway is existing. So
Yeah.
the reality is, one, you wouldn't be required to get a variance any longer because you would be under the impervious surface area, and the existing driveway is existing. So if it happens to be put in the way where the stormwater right now is going towards the neighbor's property, that's already an existing condition.
That's correct.
I mean, my first suggestion to the client was to remove the additional new asphalt and provide a pervious paver. And therefore, we would not need a variance at all. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
That's correct.
Okay, so that perhaps might be the option here, solution versus hiring an engineer, hiring a surveyor to do all these things.
Sorry, so the solution would be to just get rid of, sorry, this is CC.
Yes.
So the solution would just be to get rid of the new asphalt parking area and just kind of revert back to how it was before?
And you can correct me if I'm wrong, both Mr. Powers and Joe, but I think what they're saying, CC, is that if you get rid of the asphalt parking area, and put in something that would be able to drain, whether it's gravel or item 4 or something that created that you could park on, but that would allow for drainage, you would not have this problem.
Yeah, I think it was gravel before we put in the asphalt.
Okay.
What I'm,
okay.
John Power, what I'm suggesting is using what is a pervious paver. The water goes through it.
Okay.
There is a gravel base. The water goes through it, and it doesn't accumulate and cool.
I just want to let the board know there is another question in the audience.
Okay, I guess we can recognize the person who was waiting with the question.
All right, I'm gonna move Mr. Codman back down for the time being.
Yes. Do we know, is it a question?
It is in regards to this project, yeah.
Yes.
Hello.
Les, hello. Do you hear me?
Yeah, you have to state your name.
State your name, please.
An address.
I'm Linda Griffin, and I live at 33 Ferris Place. I'm here for 35, but I didn't know this was going to be going on tonight for 31. So I have people on either side of me. But 31, there's another big issue that concerns me greatly. Why do I need to now look at a parking lot? I can't, why should this be permitted? It changes the entire character of the neighborhood and will allow other people to do the same. Why do they need parking for 6 or 8 cars or however many? I can't tell you how many cars they have had back there. I am very opposed to this. There doesn't need to be a parking lot in the backyard. And that's what it is. Essentially, you're allowing a parking lot to be in the backyard, and I sit on my deck and look at a parking lot. And I don't think that should be permitted. There's a reason why we have ordinances, and there's no reason for this ordinance to be granted at all. It should never have been allowed. It should never have happened. He did it illegally because it shouldn't have been permitted. So I'm very upset about it.
Marlene, can I answer to that for a minute?
Yeah, because I would answer to that also, that if the area was a parking area before that had an impervious parking, nothing has changed as far as, except they put down asphalt. But go ahead, Joe.
Well, and the other thing is, for a 2-family house, substantially, you want to do a minimum of 4 parking spaces for off-street parking. So the fact that they're putting the parking in the back, which does meet the setback requirements, they're not requesting a variance for that, and they're trying to create the proper off-street parking as per the zoning code. There really isn't, shouldn't be an objection to the parking. What they're actually doing is creating parking off-street, which would be a necessity in that neighborhood. And
there's parking for 4 cars. There's enough parking for 4 cars without that.
Well, you can't park the way it is on a driveway that way, because you'd be tandem parking one behind the other, and that wouldn't allow proper access for each vehicle to get out. So by proposing what they're doing, it allows each vehicle to access out of the parking area to the street individually, which is actually zoning compliant. The only reason why they're in front of the zoning board now is because there's a maximum impervious surface coverage. So if the architect and the applicant decide to remove the asphalt and put in pervious pavers, the reality is this application wouldn't be in front of the zoning board at all.
How many cars should be allowed, though? There must be some limit to how many cars can be in the back. How many cars should be allowed in a backyard? There's
no zoning regulation to such. It's that you have to provide a minimum amount for depending on the number of dwelling units. The code says you have to provide 2 parking spaces per dwelling unit. This house is a 2-family. To be code compliant to the zoning code, they would have to provide 4 parking spaces.
Yeah,
so the minimum, Ms. Griffin,
yes,
the minimum would be 4 cars. It could go up from there. So depending you know, I don't know how many people or adults live there, but the minimum would be 4 because it is a 2-family house.
We have another question, just so everybody's aware.
Okay. Is Ms. Griffin,
Yes.
is there anything else?
No, I'm confused at this point, because what actually the real reason that they wanted that in the back is because they've always had either 3 families there or more. There has always been 3 families in that house or more than that. And that's why they needed the extra parking. Otherwise, it's never been an issue. It's never been an issue before.
Well, as I stated earlier, there was an apartment in the basement. Since then, that's been removed. So the house is currently operated as a 2-family.
Currently.
Thank you, Ms. Griffin. The next person, Jaime. I'm sorry. I don't know who's doing it. Jaime or Joe.
Jaime.
It's Susan Reardon. She has a question.
Yes, Ms. Reardon?
Oh, no, I was just saying, isn't a parking spot 9 by 18? So 4 parking spots would be 36 across by 18? That's all.
Yeah, I think there's proposing 40 feet in width by 18 feet,
Well,
6 inches.
This is John Power. As far as proposing, this is what exists, 40 feet. That's an existing condition.
That's existing.
So the size of the spaces would be compliant. So the minimum size would be 9 feet wide by 18 feet in length, each space.
Each space. If that's it, Ms. Reardon, thank you so much for your question. Is there anyone else to speak on this issue?
Give me 2 seconds. Let me just check to see if there's any participants raising their hands. And it appears there are no participants raising their hands.
Okay, I guess my question would be to Mr. Powers. Are we looking to do the impervious pavers and therefore we don't have to make a ruling on this, or are we looking to make a ruling on this? I don't know if that's for Mr. Powers or Amanda. Ms. Browse.
I would recommend, John Power again, I would recommend that the client remove the asphalt and put a pervious paver in lieu of the curb and the drainage system. I think it would be more cost effective, and that's my suggestion.
So is that a question for, is it Cece?
Yes, hi, this is Cece. So if we move ahead with John's suggestion, do we have to submit more paperwork, or how does that work?
I would believe, and Amanda, correct me on this, if you go ahead with John's suggestion as required to take up the asphalt material and put down something that falls within the guidelines of the zoning ordinance, you do not need to have anything by this board. You are pretty much done with it.
Right. I mean, you would withdraw this application and then just coordinate with the building department as to any sort of paperwork that they would require. But I don't know that, Joe, what would you need, if anything?
Correct. They would withdraw their application to the zoning board, and then John Power would just submit a revised plan to our department showing pervious pavers and correcting the impervious surface coverage to show that it's under 40%. And then we would just move forward with the building department only.
Okay.
Okay, this is Cece. So I would have to talk to my parents, who are the owners, and but I think that's that's probably the way we're going to go.
So then,
So do we need
Should we adjourn the application?
adjourn this until we move until we can move forward with this?
We need to close the public hearing.
yeah,
Yeah,
that would close the
just-
public hearing.
I know, but I was just asking, do we need to do an, okay. So may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Abdurayo, so moved.
May I have a second?
Kevin Griffith seconded.
May I have a roll call vote?
Marlene,
Aye.
Kevin,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
and Antonio and George are absent, so 3 votes carries.
Okay, motion carried. So can I have a motion to adjourn this? Do we want to adjourn it to the, what month is this? To the May meeting, or, which is fairly close, or the June meeting?
June.
Just to give us some time in case,
Yeah, to allow the applicant to decide how they want to move
yes.
forward.
Right.
So motion to adjourn to the June meeting.
And you are?
Bob Durayo.
May I get a second for the adjournment?
Kevin Griffith seconded.
May I have a roll call vote?
Marlene,
Aye.
Kevin,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
and Antonio and George are absent.
So motion carries. So Cece, this will be put off until the June meeting, and then by then, if you could get back to the building department with whatever your parents decide, that would be fine.
Okay, this is Cece. Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next on the agenda was ZBA 0420, which is 14 Church Street. I understand that is adjourned.
Yeah, Jamie and I received correspondence from the applicant's attorney, Wayne Spector, indicating that they are adjourning the application tonight.
Do we know when?
Let me check. I believe that he said that he didn't think he'd be able to get the materials necessary in for the May 12th meeting, so I think we'll be seeing them in June.
Yeah, okay.
Jamie, is that right?
Did we lose Jamie?
No, we didn't. And she's muted.
Oh.
I believe so, yes. I believe that's what he said.
Thanks.
Okay, so next on our agenda is ZBA 062024 Aqueduct Street. And I believe that applicant also asked for an adjournment.
That's at 24 Aqueduct. Yes, they requested an adjournment till the May meeting.
Okay. So now we're up to ZBA 072010 Marble Place. I believe that applicant also asked for an adjournment to the May meeting.
So I know that in conversation with JB Hernandez, that was the request was to have that adjourned. JB is here. I'm not sure if he is working on any of these other items. So I'm not sure if he had intended on speaking on something for that.
Let's ask.
Do we want to ask him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, JB, you're able to speak. Do you want to?
Yes. No, I was just observing, and yes, we are requesting to adjourn this matter until the May meeting, so we're fine with that.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
So that finishes all the old business of the board. We are up to new business of the board, and that is starting with ZBA 0420 8 Maple Place. Henry okay. Yeah, Henry. Is there anyone here to speak on 8 Maple Place?
Yeah, Henry is here.
Okay.
I've just promoted him to panelist. Henry?
Yes, hi.
Do you have anyone from your team here on?
Yes, my architect should be also on the attendees.
Okay, that's right, James Nixon, correct?
James Nixon, yes.
All right, and would you mind turning on your video, please, if possible?
Sure.
Hello, Henry.
Okay, all right.
Okay, and your architect is on also?
Yes.
Yeah, he's here. All right, everything is set up. The
okay.
The item is here.
Okay. Welcome. Please remember to state your name and your address and
Henry Montestioca, 8 Maple Place.
And you are before the, so, sorry, can I get a motion to open the public hearing on this?
You don't need to open the public hearing yet. You can just.
Right. Hear the applicant's request, please. Sorry.
I'm just to let everybody know, I'm gonna, because there's a lot of background noise, so I'm gonna mute people who are not actively speaking, okay?
Yes. So Mr. Nixon, you're here on behalf of Mr.
Montestioca, that's correct.
Yeah, okay, yes.
Yes, I'm the architect for the project at 8 Maple Place. Our building is it's an existing building, and total of 3 stories, including a walkout basement. It is pre-existing non-conforming in the T2 family zone. It has a certificate of occupancy going back to, I believe, 1948 for 4 units. My client bought the property approximately 20 years ago with 5 apartments. Actually, he believed it was supposed to be a 5-unit building. And not so long ago, sometime a little over a year ago, I think, it came to the attention from the building department that the COO is for 4 units. There are 2 units on the first floor, 2 units on the second floor, and the basement is a 5th unit. We believe that some previous owner finished the basement at some point, making a larger apartment. So our proposal here, if we could flip through the slides, the drawings are toward the end. The first drawing is the basement existing condition, right there. The right side of the sheet is the side that faces the street. That when my client took over the building, that was being used as an apartment with 3 bedrooms. So now we want to legalize in terms of getting rid of the 5th unit, going to a 4-unit property. That's a good way to look at it, as permitted by the certificate of occupancy. So what we are proposing is to turn the basement space into the lower level of a duplex unit. That is one of the first floor units We'll have an interior stair, and that tenant will have a portion of the first floor plus all of this basement area that is available for tenants. As you may see in the upper left-hand corner, part of that is mechanical space not available to a tenant. If we go to the next slide, you can see the first floor plan as proposed. No, I'm sorry, that's the basement plan as proposed. We should look at that. In the upper right corner, we're adding a stair to go up to the first floor. We rearrange the space so we don't need all those little rooms basically. So we're getting two good size bedrooms that will be a part of the unit upstairs. We've eliminated the kitchen. The existing kitchen was where I'm showing a new stair. The bathroom is existing, that will remain. If we go to the next slide, you'll see the first floor plan as proposed. Good. Yes, okay. The again, the stairs in the upper right-hand corner. So from this level, it goes down to the basement level, and the kitchen stays in the same place. It's approximately in the middle of that rather narrow unit, and the existing bedroom, which is at the front of the building, stays the same. The main change there is that, and so the area that's now being taken in this drawing, being taken mostly by the stair, is what's currently the living room. The other side of the center corridor, there's the left side is apartment 1. That will remain as is. It's a 1-bedroom apartment with a kitchen and a small living room. That's as much work as proposed on the first floor. The second floor, which has 2 units, there is a drawing of it. There's no proposed changes on the second floor. So overall, the building will go from its existing condition of having 5 units, which is not permitted, and we concede that, to go back to the 4 units, which is pre-existing non-conforming since, as I said, 1948. And the, as I said, 1 unit gets larger, considerably larger. I would like to point out that all of these units are small. All of the units as they exist, except for the basement level, have less than 500 square feet. According to the current zoning ordinance, units should be not less than 800 square feet. So in this regard, the unit where we're making changes becomes more conforming, in that we'll be up to about 1,100 square feet. But as Mr. Agostinelli pointed out to us, the zoning ordinance states that pre-existing nonconformity cannot be expanded by more than 10%. And we are expanding it considerably. It is that 1 unit would go from about 400 and something square feet to about 1,100 square feet between the 2 floors. And so it's in my cover letter, I misstated exactly the numbers. I said it's an increase of 306%. It's a total of 306%. It's an increase of 206%. But nonetheless, it's considerably more than the permitted 10% increase. So that is what, therefore, brought us to the zoning board. Are there any questions at this time?
Are there any questions from the board? Kevin?
Yeah. The original certificate of occupancy was for 4 units?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. At the time the property was bought, the basement was finished?
Yes, he bought it in its current state.
At
that time, was it?
And that was like 20 years ago.
Was it being used as a residence at that time?
Yes, as far as we can tell, it was used like it had been used until not long ago when he learned otherwise.
And you're asking for a use variance, correct?
I think it's an area variance. And I think that because my research from some materials which I referenced in my cover letter from the New York State Bar Association, as I understand it, because this use is permitted here, a variance related to that use is still an area variance.
Yeah, I agree. I would interpret it as an area variance as well.
Okay. I have no more at this time.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Mr. DeRio, Bob DeRio, do you have any questions?
No, I think it's pretty clear. He's asking to conform it from 5, which is illegal, to 4, which is legal, but he needs a variance, a variance to have the one apartment be larger. So that's pretty clear, I think.
Okay. Joe, do you have anything to add?
I just wanted to check something on that plan. Can you go back to the basement proposed?
Right there.
So if this unit is being combined with the upstairs unit, where is the kitchen?
The kitchen is upstairs. Yes, the apartment 2 existing kitchen. It's
right here
below on the right side.
No.
But that says apartment 1.
Oh.
Right, apartment 2 is on the right.
Right, existing kitchen. I guess the issue is the staircase is taking that place. So I don't, I'm trying to see where is the actual kitchen itself.
The kitchen is in that area. It's in the middle of the apartment. The area towards the back, I think it's a little odd, but that's the way it is what's being used as a living room. So that's what we're losing by putting in that stair.
On the first floor apartment or the apartment above it.
Right. So I guess my question is that because the dwelling unit, by the state code regulation, you have to have some type of either living room or dining room area. And if the kitchen is going in the area where it's been circled in green, and that so-called area, and then there's I guess a bedroom here in the front, a bathroom, the staircase, then you go downstairs and you have additional bathrooms. There's no living room in this apartment.
Yeah.
Well,
there's the converted living room, apartment 2, existing bedroom. It says converted to living room right here.
Oh, that's in the basement?
No, on the first floor.
Oh, I see.
Okay. I'm sorry, I forgot to point that out.
Okay, I see.
Because now the 2 bedrooms are down. There'll be 2 bedrooms downstairs.
Okay, so this level would have the kitchen, the bathroom, a staircase, and a living room, and the bedroom downstairs. Okay, understood.
So is there anything that we need to be concerned about besides the area variance, Joe or Amanda?
This is the only variance I believe that they're applying for, is just for the non-conforming use and expanding it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and with respect to the area variance, that you have to apply the 5-factor test.
Right.
That applies to all area variances. It's a balancing test. If you need me to, I can go through the factors.
You want to go through the factors?
Sure, if you'd like me to.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the first factor is whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance. Do you want me to go through all of them, all at once, or do you want to do one by one?
Let's do them one by one.
Okay.
All right. So I guess to the board members, just, to kind of think or go through, will this change the neighborhood or anything structurally that would cause a detriment to the nearby properties in granting this area variance?
Bob DeRio says no. It does not. It doesn't change anything.
So as we go.
I agree.
Okay. All right. I agree to that also.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Next factor. Okay. Whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible to the applicant to pursue other than an area variance.
So in answer to that question, if he's looking to, one, increase the size of an apartment that is technically non-conforming to begin with, and remove an apartment that is supposed to be non-existing.
Could you restate that again, Amanda?
Sure. No, I don't have that. There's a space. I'm having a little trouble focusing here
because
like
a conversation going on.
I know I'm hearing a lot of background noise somewhere. But I will restate.
All right. I think it's coming out of Bob's like a TV in the background. I've muted him.
Okay.
So Bob, you're just briefly muted.
Okay. So the second factor, once again, is whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible to the applicant to pursue other than an area variance.
So in this instance, the request is to increase the habitable space, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the question is whether or not they can increase the habitable space through this method versus another method.
Yeah, to eliminate that non-conforming, basement apartment, and in doing so, increase the livable space in apartment 2.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to unmute Bob.
Yeah, I don't think that there is another solution. There's two solutions. Give him a variance to make the 5th apartment legal, which he's not asking for, or do what he's asking for, which is a use variance. I think that's the easiest
Area
solution.
variance.
Area variance.
Yes, I think that this makes the most sense of the two choices.
Kevin?
No, I also don't disagree again. I think it's the path of least resistance.
Okay. I know that the C is the requested area variance is substantial. And according to this, it's going from what, 500 square feet to 1,100 square feet, with an area variance of over 200 or about 200%.
Yeah, this factor is important to remember that substantiality isn't always like based on a number. So think about what impact this variance would have, related to the neighborhood, related to other units in the building, parking, think about the totality of the circumstances.
Yeah, and also, keep in mind the increase in habitable space in the building as a whole, as the building represents a 4-family right now. It was a 2-family beforehand, 60, 70 years ago, but an increase in the total habitable space in the building rather than the increase in the total habitable space in this apartment, which is only a section of the building.
Okay, but Jaime, if I get this straight, it was a 2-family that went to a 4-family that somehow went to a 5-family that is going back to a 4-family. That's somewhere in there.
Yeah, so I guess what I would say is that if the total habitable space in the 2-family house was, for instance, this is not pertaining to this, but for instance, if the total habitable space in the house was 2,000 square feet as a 2-family, and then got cut up into a 4-family, but it remained 2,000 square feet, and then an additional 500 square feet were added to the habitable space, making it 2,500 square feet now by adding that additional space in the downstairs. If you look at combining the 2 apartments from a 500 square foot apartment to another 500 square feet, that doubles the size of the habitable space for that apartment. But if you look at the increase of 500 square feet over the 2,000 square feet that were spread throughout the entire building, then that's an increase of 20% or 25%. So there's a difference in those, if that makes sense.
So do we know what the overall habitable space is or was in the building or should be in the building with the I guess it's non-conforming use, but the 4 existing apartments?
That's a question for the architect.
Yes, just a second. Okay, we have a total of 4 units, and they range from about 360 square feet to 470 square feet. So it's a little less than 2,000 square feet, more like 1,700 square feet. By adding the basement, is the first floor, second floor habitable space, except for the corridor in the middle. By adding the basement as livable space, that adds an aggregate of 45% to the living space. Does that help clarify?
It does.
It does. Okay, so.
What I would say to the board is what they are accomplishing by doing this, even though it seems to be a substantial amount of square footage that's being added onto a non-conforming use, is that with the 5 families, which is supposed to be a legal 4-family in a 2-family zone district, the 5th family actually made it even more non-conforming. So by eliminating the apartment and making it more conforming, and one of the 4 existing apartments will now become conforming to the minimum square footage size that's required for the apartment. So, so even though you're adding more square footage to it, you're actually making 2 components of the building more compliant.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. Any questions, Kevin or Bob?
Not for me.
Nope.
Do we want to go on to number 4, Amanda?
Sure, yes. Number 4 is whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district.
I
don't think it would.
I don't think it would either. So.
Nor do I. It actually makes there's less cars because there's less people living in the building now. 1 less apartment.
Should I go to number 5?
Number 5, yep.
Okay. Whether the alleged difficulty was self-created. Which isn't not determinative in the case of an area variance.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter then, does it? And he the guy who owns it, he bought it. It came that way. So
it does matter. It does matter. It's non-determinative, as Amanda mentioned. So in this instance, I think that you can make a determination that if it was, if it was their own doing, which it might be, it doesn't mean that it's not determinative.
Right.
It's just another factor to be balanced with the other 4 factors.
Okay. If there's no other information that we need, Amanda, I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing if there's anyone here to speak on this matter.
We do have a person calling in on the phone, and I'm not sure if that person is interested in speaking. So I'm going to allow them to talk real briefly.
Can we have a first and a second?
Oh, I apologize. Yeah, I apologize.
Motion to open the public hearing.
And seconded.
Okay, that was Kevin that motioned and Bob that seconded.
And then a roll call would be Marlene.
Aye.
Kevin.
Aye.
Bob.
Aye.
and Antonio and George absent, so 3 votes carries.
Okay. Yes, you can find out if the.
All right, so we have somebody on the phone. Are you here to provide a comment on this matter? I don't know who it is on. It's on the phone. It's the 914-441. I'm sorry, 914-417-7041. Hello?
Hello.
Are you here to provide a comment on this matter?
No, I'm just observing. It's George Failing.
Okay. Thank you. All right, I will.
You know, George is a board member.
George is a board member.
Okay. All right. So he's a panelist. Then we're gonna.
Yeah. Wait. You should. Oh my gosh. Okay.
All right. Good to know. All right.
And
We have a bunch of other people here, but nobody has raised their hand.
Wait. I need to know for the record. How long has George been present?
I've been present for the entire meeting.
Oh. Okay.
Oh, see.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, if it matters, every application has been adjourned so far. So
Yeah.
you didn't have to participate in the vote.
All right. Well, George, yeah, good to have you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. I don't have anyone raising their hand.
Okay, can I please get a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close the hearing, Bob DiRaio.
Kevin Griffith seconded.
Can I have a roll call vote?
Yeah. Okay. Marlene.
Aye.
Kevin.
Aye.
Bob.
Aye.
George.
Aye.
Okay.
And Antonio is absent, I think. I hope. So 4 votes will carry the motion to close the public hearing.
What is Antonio's last name, by the way?
Antonio Martinez.
Martinez.
I have an A.R. Swan. I don't know who that is.
Didn't they participate in the
Planning board meeting?
Planning board meeting.
Yeah, I feel like they did. So
They must be. I bet they're here for 35 Ferris.
Okay.
Okay. Do I have a motion to grant or deny the request?
Yes, motion to accept this request for an area variance. Bob DiRaio.
Do I have a second?
Kevin Griffith seconded.
Okay. And I'll do a roll call. Are you?
Yep. Go ahead.
Okay. Marlene.
Aye.
Kevin.
Aye.
Bob.
Aye.
George.
Aye.
And Antonio's absent. So 4-0.
All right. Your motion is granted. Happy building.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, Mr. Nixon. Okay, 35 Ferris Place, ZBA 1120. I know there are a number of people who were on for this application.
Yeah. There are a number of people, so I'm going to start moving people over now. I am going to start with Susan Reardon. We have people that have raised their hand already for the public hearing. So for those people listening, keep your hand raised. We will call on you when the public hearing gets open. Susan, can you unmute yourself?
Hello.
All right. Do you have anybody else from your team here that you would like to?
Just the owner.
The homeowner.
The homeowner? Okay.
Yep.
And A.R. Swan? I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, he's a neighbor.
Okay, all right.
Linda's a neighbor, and John Codman's a neighbor.
Okay. Great.
And I'm the homeowner.
And Mark Fry?
Oh, I know him, but I don't know what he's for.
All right, okay, all right. Let me open it up. Marlene, give me 2 seconds, and then.
Hi, Marlene.
Hi, Miss Reardon. How are you?
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. You and Mr.
Andriucci.
Okay, Andriucci?
Yeah.
Okay.
Eugene.
Are here about 35 Ferris Place?
Yep.
And I see you're seeking an area variance?
Yes.
Okay, so
Get the drawings up.
what are you looking for? Ooh, nice drawings.
Oh, I just wanted to, as a reminder, I just wanted to let the board know that this application was approved at the planning board.
Level,
Not the planning board, the BAR application was approved.
Right, right.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, well, I mean, I can maybe going to the next slide, which is the site plan, would explain what the issues are. So as you can see, it's an S75 zone, but the lot is only 50 feet wide, which is typical of a lot of lots on Ferris Place. Right now, there's a house on it. We'd like to add a front porch. We're the only house all around us that doesn't have a front porch. And in the back, we want to add a sunroom, an elevator, because I'm in a wheelchair, and stairs, and then a deck in the back, which would also double as a carport. So we're looking for, well, front yard, because 30 feet is the front yard. The house is only at 25. The front porch would make it 17, which is typical of this neighborhood. And then in the back, we're adding on, but we're staying within the lines of the house. So whatever we would need on the side would be the same. So as you can see from the zoning chart, you know, one side we need 4, for 2 sides we need 10.5. So, and if you want to see what it looks like, behind me, you can go to the front side. Oh yeah, these are the plans, front, side, rear, side. And after this are pictures of our neighbors who all have porches. So this is the house from the front, next, the back, next, and then the next one is the front as it is now. And then you can see these are all the porches that are on the front of all our neighbors that are right next to us. Next one. As you continue, next one. And then across the street, directly across the street, all the porches that we see. And so it would be nice for this house to have a nice front porch. So and that's the application. So.
Can you back up to the front of your house, to the picture of the front of the house?
Oh, the other one?
The other one.
The drawing?
No, the...
The other way.
Would you like the picture or the drawing?
The picture.
The photo.
The photo, right.
One more.
Keep going. There you go.
That one, okay. So how far out would the porch come? Because I know that I thought I saw a big tree in the middle, so that's why I was wondering.
Oh yeah, no, it won't go that far. We measured the porches on either side of us and they're 8 feet. So we thought that that would be a good way to come out. That way, if there's furniture and I have to get around with my wheelchair, I could do it, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from the board? George?
No, no questions.
Kevin?
I have no questions.
Bob?
No questions.
Can I get a motion, please, to open the public hearing?
So moved, Bob Duraya.
Seconded, Kevin Griffith.
Can I get a roll call vote?
Marlene?
Uh-huh.
Kevin?
Aye.
Oh, sorry, that was yes.
Kevin said yes. Bob?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Okay, 4-0, the hearing is open.
All right, I know there's a number of people who want to speak regarding this application.
We have Linda Griffin, John Codman, A.R. Swan. All three have their hands raised. So I will call them in the order that you, I guess Linda Griffin is the first hand up, I believe.
Okay, so Linda Griffin first, John Codman, and A.R. Swan in that order.
Okay.
Hello.
Linda, you're able to talk now.
Okay, great. I'm Linda Griffin. I'm at 33 Ferris Place. I'm their immediate neighbor, and I fully support the variances that they're seeking. And I just hope, I wanted to just go ahead and be approved as quickly as possible. They're the best neighbors anybody can have. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Griffin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. John Codman is now able to talk.
Hi, Mr. Codman.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I would like to speak in favor of the request.
Don't forget to state your name and address.
Sure. My name is John Codman. I live at 37 Ferris Place. I'm an adjacent neighbor to the applicant. All the lots on Ferris Place are non-conforming. They're flag lots. They're long and thin. The applicant isn't asking to make the structure any wider. So really, probably the only issue would be the porch. I think my porch is even closer to the sidewalk than what they're proposing, just based on the house. And I'm the house that's immediately to the, if you're facing, it's the one immediately to the right. So, I hope you'll approve it. I don't think they really have any, even though they're out of compliance, it's a non-conforming, lot. So I'd hope you would show forbearance and approve the proposal as presented. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. A.R. Swan.
Mr. A.R. Swan, you're able to talk now?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can now.
Yeah, A.R. Swan, 38 Ferris Place. I'm a neighbor, actually probably directly across the street from Mr. Codman, who just spoke. I would agree quite favorably with what he said. There is no compliance to the depth of the back and forth of different in-house space in the street. Eugene is a great neighbor, and I don't think what they're proposing will affect the neighborhood in any way. It will probably enhance it. So I'm just here for support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here to speak on this application?
There's not anybody else.
Okay, no written emails or anything out there?
Let me check right now. We didn't receive any, Jamie Kane, did any correspondence get received on this?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
All right. I have no correspondence from today or from during this meeting.
So may I have a motion from the board to close the public hearing?
Motion to close.
That was Kevin?
Kevin?
What?
Was that
Kevin?
you that?
No, it was George.
Okay, okay. You have to remember to say your name because we can't see you.
Oh, George Bailing, motion to close.
Okay.
Can I get a second?
Kevin Griffith, seconding.
Roll call vote.
All right, Marlene?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
All right, 4-0.
Thank you.
No, that was just
I'd like to make a motion. Can I?
Would you like me to go through the
Go
factors?
through the 5 factors.
Oh, 5 factors. I'm sorry. I forgot the 5. Yeah. I apologize.
That's okay.
That's 5 factor.
All right, let's go through
That's 5 factor.
I like that. Whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance.
I don't see it.
I don't see it either.
Bob doesn't think so either.
I think the change is twofold. One, it would enhance the house, and 2, I do believe it was to put in an elevator as part of it to help the occupants. So I don't see it.
Okay. George, do you have any?
No, I agree with him.
Okay. So I'll move on to 2 then. Whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible to the applicant to pursue other than an area variance.
Bob DeRio says, I don't think so.
Kevin Griffith, I agree.
I would have to agree. I mean, I think the only argument could be, do they need a front porch? But I believe with the changes going on with the rest of the house, I would go ahead with what they are looking for.
Yeah, I mean, well, part of the benefit that they're seeking, I guess, is, you know, the benefit of that front porch, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Next one.
Okay. Whether the requested area variances are substantial.
I'm going to ask Ms. Reardon, do you know what the overall increase is in the area variance for the total project?
Well, the front yard was 25 and now it'll be 17.
I mean, for the house itself.
The square footage.
Oh, the square
footage, yeah.
I think that's on one of the charts. So. Oh, yeah.
So we're going from.
Oh, I guess we're adding 580 square feet.
Okay.
Including,
and the stairs, elevator and stairs.
Including elevator.
The elevator and the stairs, okay.
Yeah.
With the new addition, okay.
I think the benefits of doing this certainly are worth the extra area that it will take to accomplish it. Bob DeRio.
Thank you.
Yes.
I agree with it, George.
George, okay. Joe, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
No, I think it's pretty straightforward. I have no questions about it.
Okay. Next, Steve.
Okay. Whether the proposed variances will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district.
And I believe by the neighbors and the people around, the answer to that would be no. They actually are welcoming the porch and the changes to the property.
Okay.
I agree with Marlene, Bob DeRio.
I agree, George.
Kevin Griffith, I agree.
Okay. And lastly, whether the difficulty was self-created.
No,
I don't think that's a relevant question for this particular case, Bob DeRio.
Well, even if you say that it is, it's okay that you do, because this is a balancing test. And
right. But
if you're finding that other factors weigh, you know.
Yeah, I think it's important to make a statement on the record of whether it is or it isn't. And exactly as Amanda said, keep in mind that the variance that's being requested here that is different from the existing conditions is mostly to the front yard.
Right.
The existing conditions are not changing for the variances being requested for the side yards.
Right.
So it's the front.
Oh, go ahead, Marlene. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Kevin.
I was going to say, I think the situation regarding factors 1 through 4 outweighs whatever self-difficulty would have been created anyway. So
Yes.
Yes.
That's what I was.
Yes. Yeah.
George, do you have anything to add?
Yeah. No, they've said what I think.
Okay.
In other words, I agree with them.
Okay, so we have gone through the 5 factors.
Can we make a motion to accept this area
grant
variance?
or deny the request? Yes.
Yes. Motion to grant the request. Bob Duraya.
Do I have a second?
I'll
Second to
the
grant
motion.
the request. Okay.
And that was George?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll give it to George.
Can I have a roll call vote?
Sure. Marlene?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
All right, so that carries 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, motion carried. Thank you, Ms. Reardon. Enjoy your building.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Stop by and see it when it's done. Okay. That concludes the agenda for tonight. One additional thing, we just need to approve the minutes from the March 10th, 2020 meeting. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve the meeting minutes of March 10th, 2020.
Can I get a second?
Second, Bob Duraya.
Do I need a roll call vote?
Yes, if you want
Okay.
to.
Roll call vote.
Okay, Marlene?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
All right, 4-0.
Okay. Can I get a motion to adjourn? I believe we are done. Amanda, is there anything else? Joe, Kevin, Bob, George?
There's nothing else on the agenda. I just wanted to let everybody know that we're going to start having any applicants who provide supplemental submittals to the board. So not for a primary submission, which is just, main application materials, but supplemental submissions give you guys a cover letter that kind of explains what they're addressing.
Okay.
And,
good idea.
Yeah. So
that's great. I love that. Yeah.
So I think it's been done in the past, and maybe it hasn't been in play for a while, but just wanted to let you know.
I think it would be helpful now that we're not physically getting material, like it just kind of, it would help us now because we really need to see more. It's difficult when we were getting a packet every month and we were looking at information, it was a little different, but now that we're kind of having to read everything on our computers and look at drawings upside down and inside out, it just, any little piece of information would help.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And I want to mention one other item. I know I'm pretty new, so first of all, I'd like to go to everybody, and you're getting used to me. So one of the things that we're going to make sure is we're keeping up with, especially in the time of Zoom, making sure that applicants need to provide their documentation by the submittal deadline, and so when they're presenting on Zoom, they're not going to be able to present on any material that wasn't supplied within that deadline time, with maybe some narrow adjustments, that we had to make for the next meeting. People have to get their submissions in on time. If they don't get those submissions in on time, that doesn't allow you as a board the opportunity to properly review them. It also doesn't allow the public proper time to review them, and thereby you're going to be making decisions on information that you haven't had enough time to look at. The public hasn't had enough time to decide whether they want to comment on, and that's just not really an appropriate course of action. So we're going to be enforcing that. We had the same discussion with the planning board, but it's really kind of an urgent, not urgent, but it's a really important point to make sure that the public gets their opportunity to get comments, and that you don't get blindsided by a lot of new information when somebody comes to present on their application.
Yes. Good.
That's really it.
Okay, we will be back here again for a regular meeting, which is, gosh, my month is all
May 12th.
May 12th. Thank you, because I didn't remember. So we will again be dialing in this way. George, if you're on, you have to let us scream and holler, because we didn't recognize the phone number. And that would help. Hopefully we can get you up and running on Zoom so that we can see your face. We're glad
Yeah,
you
I
came
tried
in
to
tonight.
get, I'll get my daughter or somebody to make sure they do it, because I'm not very proficient with computers.
Well, we have
We'll
some
get it
time
worked
to
out.
work the kinks out now.
Right.
Okay. I'll get
Between-
Jimmy to help me, maybe.
Between meetings.
Good, we will.
We need a motion to adjourn.
We do need a motion to adjourn if there's nothing else.
Nothing here.
Okay.
Then I make a motion to adjourn. Bob Duraya.
Now you have a second.
Second. George.
And you don't need a roll. I mean, you can just.
Yeah, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 4 votes for an aye. Motion carried. Meeting adjourned. Joe,
Nice job.
Joe, you're
Good.
looking good over there.
Oh.